Zoom, but I had a wonderful thought this morning. I thought about when Paul in chapter 12 of Second Corinthians, he says, "Therefore I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches and necessities, in persecution and distress for Christ's sake, for when I am weak, then I am strong." He goes on in chapter 13, the next chapter, and he says, "Since you seek proof of Christ speaking in me, which to you word is not weak," there's the word again, "but it is mighty in you." And here's the verse that I was thinking about right along with what was shared this morning. "For though he was crucified through," and that word is en in the Greek, "in the sphere of weakness, yet he lives by the power of God." You know, I was thinking there's something very beautiful when people in their weakness surrender. And difference into surrender inevitable, and the difference between that and to surrender when you have the power and the full right to not have to surrender to it, but you yield to the weakness. Let me give you an example. If a person finds out that their kidneys are failing and they're doing dialysis and they have to have kidney replacement, and they're 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 waiting for a donor, there's a time when you just get to the place where you reside and you resolve to yield to that. You in your weakness of depending, needing that kidney, you just surrender to it. And that people say, "My, look at the peace that person has and how they've surrendered to it." Well, that's not that beautiful, because you have no choice. You have to surrender to that. You have no power not to, because if you don't get that surgery and you don't get that donation, you're not going to make it in life. But that's not the case in the Lord Jesus. Now, in verse 4 of chapter 13, what he's saying is that weakness is beautiful, because when the person has a voluntary surrender with the right and the power not to do it, it's not demanded of them, that's really beautiful. So the picture of this is the person donating the kidney. And so someone comes along and they test them and they say, "You're a direct donor for somebody on our kidney list." And the person says, "Well, I'd like to do that for you." You see, they didn't have to. They didn't have to yield to it. They willingly did it. They had the power and the right to just not do it. But my, how beautiful when they surrender to that. And that's the weakness the Lord Jesus surrendered to. Lord of life, to bless, to death once subject, blesser yet a curse once made. He had the power and he had the right not to die, but he was willing in the sphere of death to win the victory. That's the marvel of it.